Ayo, what you cooking?
Welcome to Lend Me a Fiver podcast, where we have conversations with people who have had successful journeys. Make sure you subscribe, share it with your family, your friends, so people can hear more and be inspired by people's journeys, but also learn and hopefully take that into their day jobs and their lives and their businesses and hopefully improve. Also, we want to see if you comment and tell us what you want to see, what careers, tell us what you want to hear about, and we'll try to make that happen. Today I'm going to welcome a special guest, Marvin Abbey. He's one of the UK's leading podcasts, Free Shots of Tequila. You've run popular events, and I think they're ongoing, luxsundays, thesupperclubldn. Recently hosted a cool show called Winner Stays On. You had the quite popular lockdown sessions with Cheeks FM, and your Insta's just an all-round lit affair, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you can touch your Insta at any time of day and catch a joke, you get me? And because you're an OG in this podcasting, I thought, let me come prepared with some stats, you know, a little stat pack, you get me? Let me run through this. So,
when you're reading it, I'm like, who's this you're talking about?
This is you, bro. This is you. Yeah? So 3 shots here as a podcast. Impressive numbers we got. And numbers don't lie. They've never lied to us. 245 episodes, not including the 48 Learn with 3 Shots episodes, 30 live shows, over 40 million audio plays, and over 6.2 million YouTube views, bro. Yeah. That's reach. Yeah, that's impressive all the way. And right now, I feel like podcasts are a trend. I'm going to put it down to lockdown and the pandemic, because I do feel like a year ago today, you probably had 50% of the number of podcasts in the UK. Yeah. But you lot were definitely ahead of the curve. Like, 3 Shots the podcast was going from years ago. And you lot are definitely pioneers in this podcast game. So along that way, I know you've definitely gained some recognition, and obviously the shows, etc., and the fan base. So it'll be good to know, like, just how you got there. How are you here today on the sofa? I think let's start with like where you were raised and so on. Let's go with that.
So raised.
Let's get that background.
So Nigerian family. I was raised in the East, but for me, I've never been in one place for a long period of time. So growing up, we lived in Stepney first.
I don't even know where that is, you know.
Yeah, Stepney's like around the corner from Mile End.
Okay. Yeah.
Mile End, you know where Mile End Stadium is?
No,
There's like a running track in Mile End. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So you're running.
No, I used to do athletics still, but yeah, that's what. So we started there. Mum was a hairdresser, but used to work for someone else. My dad was, thinking like an accountant or learning to be in the studying all the time and that. So, but my mum was on a vibe of, she didn't like the fact that whenever she was at work, she didn't know what her kids were doing. Okay. She didn't like that.
So what about you? You weren't on a bad breed thing?
No, I wasn't born then yet. I was just born.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Right.
So because I was so basically my family, we used to live in Stepney, but I've got 2 older brothers. So obviously it was a case of after school, my brothers used to be in the adventure playground or doing whatever. My mum didn't know exactly what they were doing, do you know what I'm saying? So in her mind, she was in the vibe of, I don't really like my kids being out here. Because I think she used to see what was going on in the area with other kids, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So from Stepney, we moved to Beckton. Okay. Then my mum then she got hairdressers. Okay. Her own one, yeah? Okay, her own hairdressers. So it was a vibe of she wanted us to be there where she could see us. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's where, growing up, my mum had a business, dad had a business. So I was in her shop. So I'll be, anytime hair was getting cut, my brother was a barber as well. Okay. So he learned how to be a barber because of my mum. Okay, yeah, that's it. So he was in the shop cutting hair. Yeah. Then I was in the shop, then I'll be sweeping up. Swap hair, whatever, looking how. Then I'll do the tills, I'll take money for people, do you know what I'm saying? So I didn't realise I was learning skills that was transferable to me now, but at the time I didn't know. I was like, oh man, I'm always here, bro. But there was a TV at the back, so I'd watch Thundercats or all these shows.
This is like school, primary school?
Yeah, primary school. So I'll be watching shows. After school, I'll come, my brother would get on the bus, brother would drop me to my mum's shop, then he'll be cutting hair. My other brother would just be chilling, and then we'll just be doing that, innit, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, anyway, from Beckton, then I moved to Poplar, then from Poplar.
You literally stayed in East, bro.
Yeah. But then I went to school in South.
Oh, is it? Where
I went, so my secondary school, St. Joe's Academy.
St. Joe's, the Green Blazers?
Yeah, Green Blazers. So
I went to St. Thomas. So you know, like...
Yeah, my school was terrible still.
Yeah, it was mad.
My school was bad. But yeah, I went to St. Joseph's.
That's a bit of a journey as well.
Then I went CTK, which is the college. Yeah.
That's the King of Vision, yeah.
So that's why, like, for me, I feel like I'm so rounded because I've lived in very different areas. Yeah. I've gone to school in a completely different area. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
You must know a lot of people as well.
I know bare people. Yeah, that's how my circle is so big because I know Southman, Eastman, and all different areas. I grew up in Newham, I grew up in Tower Hamlets. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Normally Newham and Tower Hamlets, they don't mix. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're from Newham, from Newham. If you're from Tower Hamlets, from Tower Hamlets. Yeah. But I've lived in both and went to school in South, so...
Okay. So, and then just part of that education journey, because Christ King was kind of lit still. I don't know about you.
Not proper lit still.
Did you, coming up, what were you kind of trying to be? What was your plan? Like, what did you see yourself in the future? Was it athletics or did you have like something else in mind?
For me, it was a football thing. Like, I used to always play football, so...
Like, at what level? Like, five-a-side?
No. So basically, when I was growing up, it was very different in terms of football. Like, now, people try and find kids young. They don't mind the colour, they don't mind the size. Yeah. Even if you're small, they don't mind. If you're big,
before you were small, you couldn't make it.
If you're small, you couldn't make it before. If you're black before, it was kind of like they only want to put you in certain positions. Yeah. If you're quick, thingy, strong, centre back or up front. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There was like the misconception over here was, and it was very much like...
Didn't have the technique or something, didn't they? They think.
Unless if you're the coach's son, you get a blind. There's so many, your dad knows the coach. Like, there was so many politics back then. But anyway, I was decent though. I used to play locally, but no African parents, not really.
They're not seeing the vision,
you know what I'm saying? It was more like read your books, like why are you playing football? So at one point in time, I was playing for Charlton when I was in college, when I just touched college. But it was a long thing, man, because they used to train in Chobham Lane, which is Eltham. Okay. So after college, I'd have to get the bus from Lewisham to Eltham. Train will finish about 10:30. Then I have to get train from Wetton. I think I can't remember the station. Was it Wetton Station? Anyway, so the station around the corner. I had to get the train. By the time I got home, it'll be like 12:31. Mum and dad, and then I'm not waking up for college next day because I'm tired. So mum and dad are like, listen, what are you doing? This football thing.
It's not working.
It's not working because you're not waking up for time in college. But it was a weird time, but that didn't work out anyway because of just all the peer pressure with it and whatever. Yeah. But in my mind, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, so but after that, was it a focus on books? Like,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know what was going on. Like, that's why a lot of the time when a lot of kids or youth message in the pod and say stuff like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life, and they're kind of having a crisis. I'm like, brother, I didn't know what I was doing either for time. And a lot of people, unless you're like someone who says, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, a solicitor, a barrister. There's certain careers, a mechanic. There's certain careers that you can be like, I know what I'm doing, and this is what I'm going for. There's a lot but most other people, especially if you're in the creative industry, you just know you're creative, but you don't know what exactly it is. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I just started knocking on bare doors, and growing up, I was a joker. Like, people knew me for being funny.
So you've been a funny man.
I've always been like funny. I've always been like someone who people gravitate to. Yeah. So watching programs like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, funny. That was my guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, or Saved by the Bell, Zach Morris. Yeah. Like, I always like wanted to be the guy. You know, like when you look at man, you're just like, nah, he's the guy. Nah. So growing up subconsciously, I always just wanted to kind of have that. Didn't know how. But, so, yeah, just as I grew up, like, anywhere I was always, even in the all-boys school, St. Joseph's, I was always, like, one of the cool men then. Because I could banter you, I'll cuss your mum or your dad, do you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what, the school banter was, it was mad. When I think about it, I went to a boys' school as well.
Yeah, it's red hot,
When I think about, bro, you had to be ready.
Listen.
Because I realised if you don't stand up for yourself, even just like verbally, you could be, they'll finish you for every day. Victim. Everybody in the class, you start seeing the people that have no words.
You're a victim, bro.
The people that ain't got no words start calling out, shut up with pepper grains. You're like, what?
And the thing is, remember, being African as well, in those days,
back in the day,
it wasn't a trend.
There was no Afro beats.
You know what I'm saying? Lucky for Nigerians, because we had football, we had like Kocha, Kanu, them man, and we had a little vibe here. like, you could cuss back and be like, what you man got? Like, brother, do you know what I'm saying? But apart from that, parents coming to parents' evening, I buy that leather jacket, that's embarrassing, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
That's embarrassing, man. Like,
you can never comment.
Dry feet.
You can never tell them, Mom, are you wearing
You can't say that. Because your mom, are you embarrassed of me? Like, you can't say nothing, you just got to chill. But then your brethrens now, you know already next day, like, it's hammer time now. Like, you know that, man, I say, look, hey, you see what my man's dad was wearing to prayers evening? It's just, so growing up is like, you had to be quick-witted on your feet 100%. Because, or you'd be a victim.
I feel like, and you know what's so mad is, because I always said about boys' schools is, I feel like if girls were there, the dynamic would be different in that I feel like everything would be more serious. Like, it never turned into war, those, because as I said, the cussing will be mad, but the next day it's calm. Or even a few hours later, everyone's good, everyone's cool. They don't have to turn into a physical altercation because it's whatever. But I feel like if there was girls, that pressures, it make them, like, you feel more embarrassed.
Do you know the thing is, I was talking to someone about that the other day, funny enough, and I was saying that if they brought girls into St. Joseph's, it would have been a madness because man then would have been doing stuff to guys because girls are watching.
Exactly.
But saying that if you started from year 7 with girls, it might have been cool because you might have just been used to it, do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like the two different things with boys and girls schools is that if you go to a girls school, you might have more female friends growing up because you liaise with them on a day-to-day basis. It becomes normal for you. Whereas with boys, our introduction to girls is either after school, college, when you're trying to move to things from other school, or college, you're like, wow, like girls exist properly, if that makes sense. Mad. So, but then with that being said, then younger, you start moving to girls younger because they're in your class. So on a young break, you kiss them in the bushes or something, or do you know what I'm saying?
Just kind of getting that exposure.
So it's a bit
So what's saying, did you go to university?
Yeah, I went uni, so for me, it was kind of, luckily in my life, everything I'd done helped me in some shape or form growing up. So I was good at art. So I was good at art, I was good at
you're all round creative.
Yeah,
it's mad how, it's funny how people who can generally good at music, they can draw, it's mad. They're just like, they've got that all about them.
Yeah, because I think it's something to do with the side of your brain that you use more, is your creative side. But I'm quite a logical thinker though. So I'm weird, innit? So, I can't say I'm weird, but... you know what, like, I'm just... Self-inflicted. But I'm cussing myself. But for me, it was like, as I was growing up, I was like, I wanted people that, what am I good at? So when I was going uni, I'm like, what am I going to do at uni? And because I didn't want to go uni, it was more like a parent pressure thing, but at the same time, society says you've got to go uni, natural progression. So I'm like, what can I do? So I done graphic design in uni.
Okay. I mean, that's good as well, though.
Yeah. So graphic design, it helps you
it's not a Mickey Mouse
think stuff. It helps your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your line of thinking. It kind of helps. So for example, if there's a problem to solve with graphics, you have to, the way you solve it is a full process. But then as you keep doing that full process, you keep getting better and better and quicker and quicker.
Okay.
So for example, if you say to me, that's why like when I'm doing raves now, I can do a flyer or I can go to...
Oh, that's what you've done yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's impressive. Yeah,
or I can think of stuff, even free shot flyers and stuff, like I can think of stuff and be like, I'll go to a venue and then my thought process is just like, bang, 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 bang. Okay. It kind of helped, it's weird.
So it's helped you in that process.
Everything I've done in life has helped full circle.
Okay.
So even, I used to work with my dad as well, when he used to sell products and stuff. I used to go to businesses and see what they're doing. And Afro-Hair Beauty Show, I don't know if you heard of that, in Alexandra Palace.
I feel like you have to have. That's like, I feel like it's a bait name, isn't it?
But yeah, but like that in Alexandra Palace was, I don't know if they still do that, it should do. Bank holiday Sunday and Monday. So it's like the biggest Afro hair thing
it's huge,
in Europe.
The name
it's massive.
Rings a bell.
It's Ali Pali.
Yeah.
So I used to go there every year and set up the stand with my dad and be on the till and like working. I used to work mad hard.
And that was, what products was it? It was like hair and beads?
Yeah, like soft sheen, wool.
So did you learn that wholesale game, like learning the sourcing and all of that?
I didn't learn the sourcing because it was sourced already. It was kind of like my dad was already the person who they went to and they gave the products to. Okay. So I used to go to shops and see how my dad used to speak to people. Okay. I used to always, and then also I used to see how to speak to customers because I would be on the front till and people would be saying, can I have X, Y, Z? So I learned how to work quick.
Definitely.
How to deal with customers.
Some business skills on the way.
So luxsundays, for example, when I'm doing that, I can speak to people, no problem.
Okay.
Because I've learned that.
So you graduated, yeah?
Yeah, I graduated.
And what uni did you go?
Southampton.
Okay, so a bit of that. So did you stay there or did you?
Yeah, so funny enough, and then again...
Because you could just about drive there if you wanted.
No, to manage things, I used to do the journeys all the time. It was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
But that's when I started to get into events.
Okay.
So, because I realised again...
So events actually came before podcasting?
Yeah, events came before podcasting.
Okay. So
basically, when I was at uni, I realised that... I used to DJ as well.
Oh, is this for done?
Yeah, I used to DJ from when I was... that was one of my... to be honest, football and DJ were my first two loves.
And what level did you DJ? Did you connect with many artists? Because obviously, you're talking, is it like garage?
Yeah, so I started with garage because that was what it was.
Yeah,
there was jungle, but I missed that phase.
Okay, yeah, jungle.
You know what I'm saying? I missed that phase because I was too young for jungle. Yeah. So garage came out after Dodger.
Yeah, cool.
All them man there like Sticky, whatever, Wiley, all these people started
coming. Lord of the Mics time.
Yeah. So Lord of the Mics came after. Yeah. So I used to go to Paul's, Rhythm Division, all these record shops.
Was that when I Lewisham?
No, Rhythm Division was
which one was in
Roman Road?
The vinyl was in Lewisham. Oh yeah, Roman Road, yeah.
Lewisham, I think, was independent or something like
that.
Yeah,
it was one of the lit ones.
Yeah, by the Chinese shop.
Yeah, that's the one.
But I had to go there all the time. So I'd spend like £6 vinyl, get vinyls, whatever. Yeah. And then I bought decks. Then funny enough, Twin B was the one who taught me how to DJ.
So
because he used to be my brother's brethren. So anytime I go to my brethren's house and he had decks, he was the first one to get decks. I used to learn. So Twin B taught me how to mix.
That's dope.
See what I'm saying? So that's how I met Twin B.
Yeah, okay. So when you got to uni now, you're thinking...
So I used to DJ in uni and events.
That wasn't a paid gig, it was just like, just to be...
No, I used to get paid for it, but then the people I was doing it with, I realised that I knew bare people in uni. And I'm like, I can monetize this though, because in terms of the uni, there weren't loads of black people. So all the black people kind of hung around each other. Then the locals loved the people from London because, you know, it comes from out of town, the locals always love London, isn't it?
So what about you made you feel like, I want to monetize this?
I needed money, bro.
Okay. So it wasn't like something like, okay.
That was the bottom line. Like, I needed money, and it was a case of, I had a conversation with my dad one time, and my dad kind of got pissed that I asked for money. So in my head, there wasn't never an issue. My dad was like, you don't ask me for money, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it was the case, it was a good wake-up call for me, because at that point, my dad was on the vibe of, like, stop asking me for money. Like, you don't need money. Get your grind. Get your, you know what I'm saying? Get your grind up. But I don't think he realised what he'd done. He didn't mean it in a bad way. Yeah. But for me, I'm one of the people that if you bad me up, I don't like it. So I'm never going to ask you for something again. Yeah. Or I'll try not to because I don't want that bad up again. Yeah, does that make sense? Course, So from then I started to do stuff in uni to earn money. So I started doing whatever I could do, I started doing. And then that's when it started to build me expanding.
So, and did you kind of continually do events throughout? Like from then on? Like continually. Since?
So basically I was at uni, so I continued doing events in uni and building a brand there.
Same under the same header?
Yeah, it was like, I can't remember what the name was, you know. I just remember one of the clubs was Xanadu. But yeah, we used to do raves, but then we teamed up with a local, but then he had a madness with his brother. There was a bit of politics.
Yeah, fallouts.
Yeah, fallouts, because you know how it goes, and then people doing their own thing. But that's where I learned the game of like events.
Yeah, okay. So you've graduated now, graphic design. What was your thought process then? Did you kind of continue with events, or did you think, okay, I'm going to see if I can put this graphic design to...
Yes, no, so when I came back to London, I tried to get a graphic design job, but they were asking, you know how these graduate jobs, and brother, experience, man, I just come out of uni, what experience? And then they wanted to give me like dead pay.
The pay is mad.
That mad, no, but I mean like £800 a month pay, but like they'll pay for my expenses. No, there was some jobs saying they'll just pay for expenses.
Period.
And that's nothing else. Some saying they'll give me like 8 bills, but then I was living in Essex by then. 1 to 6 travel card for a month, food, whatever. So at the end of the month, you want me to be working like 4 or 5 days.
Like a £60.
And have no P at the end of it. So in my head, I just started wilding out. I'm like, nah, it doesn't make sense. So in my head, I'm like, graphics is not going to work for me because it's not going to pay what I want it to pay. What am I going to do? So luckily, I used to work in retail before I took a year out of uni. I didn't even say that. I took a year out of uni to work out what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I worked full time.
What did you do in that time though?
I worked full time.
Oh, was it? Yeah?
For like a year.
In retail, yeah?
Yeah, to stack my P.
What job did you?
So a company called Thomas Pink.
Oh yeah.
Shirt makers. Yeah.
So you must have learned some suave tips there.
So I learned how to dress.
I was gonna say, because when I was in the city as well. Like Thomas Pink was a bit leveled up.
Yeah,
I would stick when you're starting off, you TM Lewin or Charles
a lot of people did.
Pink is expensive.
Yeah. The shirts were like maybe like £80 for a shirt. Then it went up to like 100. But I learned how to dress. I learned. Remember, it's luxury retail.
Yeah.
So the customer service went up a level.
Yeah.
There's certain things they don't stand for. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
But I learned how to pin a bust. I learned how to tie all different tie knots.
I learned all of that.
Bow ties. I learned how to, different types of cotton, Egyptian cotton, cufflinks. So there was a whole new world that I never knew about. Because growing up as a black boy, man, don't wear them suits. Do you know what I'm saying? Or you think you do. Suits are baggy. Shirts. It's a mess. You know the cool suits.
Cool suits.
Like you're turning up and the judge is saying, guilty. Because the judge look at your suits and they're not guilty, but it's guilty still. So I learned that. So I took a year out, stacked my P, or tried to anyway. And I learned that well. So when I left uni, I just reverted back to that. And because I'd done so well at that job, they just gave my job back immediately.
All right. So how many years? Tell us a bit more about that now. So you work in retail.
Yeah.
At that point, how many years before you think, okay, was there anything else that came after that before podcasting, or was it in that journey?
Yeah, so basically, during that time, I used to play semi-pro football for Bethnal Green.
So you picked it back up, which is
cool. I picked it back up because I was playing football uni as well.
Okay.
So I won like Player of the Year at college, A-team, because I was captain of the A-team. So I won Player of the Year. At uni, I won a couple more awards as well. Football, so I was always good at football, but it's just I used to do it alongside everything else. So when I came back, I was still playing semi-pro football, but then because I was playing semi-pro football, my brother used to do like sports modelling, like adverts and like stuff like that. So he got me into that. Okay. So I started working 3 days a week retail. Then during my break, I'll be running to do a casting. For like a BT football advert.
Oh yeah. One of my guys used to do stuff like that. So
that's how I know like a couple other men like Cookie, Ryan Lee, Alianza, all them people.
Yeah. Your network's definitely growing in that time, man.
Yeah. So I was doing that on the side.
Yeah.
And working at my job, and then it got to a point where they promoted me, and I had to make a decision as to do I continue doing this because the money was good, but it wasn't consistent. Yeah. I might get one job that pays £1,000.
Okay. So fast forward a bit. At what point do you start doing the podcast, or how did that even idea come about?
So the podcast came about because I started doing radio.
Okay.
On topic talk show with.
But what? How does that? How does that even happen?
Because
it's not. That's a different world, isn't it? From what you're doing.
Yeah, but before that, that's what I'm saying. Like the maddest thing is when people look at the journey, the pod, they'll just see that. But they don't realise there's so many doors that man's knocked on. Like my brother Gabriel was doing a web series called Dirty Games We Play. Mm-hmm. So it was just us men having banter, having fun. But
when you say web series, what platform was that on?
On YouTube.
Okay, so this is early YouTube.
Early YouTube. This is like 2000.
Foundation times.
This might be like 2012.
I don't know. Early.
Do you know what I'm saying? So and it was just us man coming together.
What kind of traffic was it onto the site?
It was decent still. It was decent because my brother used it for his events. Mm. So what he done was he had a debate night. But he used the YouTube for people to look at it, then they'll say, come to the debate night. Okay. That's what he used it for. Yeah. So we were in that. So again, it's exposing man to the social media thing. Then everyone was on Twitter. So we built a community where people listen to us. So that's why we started. People actually want to, like people knowing who you are, looking. Mm. That's where it started, isn't it? Okay. Then people seeing our faces. Yeah. Then...
it's technically you had podcast experience.
Yeah, like I kind of had experience in front of a camera, but in front of people looking at man, if that makes sense. Mm. Then that kind of stopped because we weren't actors, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, man will give man the script.
Oh, it's scripted, yeah?
Yeah, I'll look at the script, just wing it, because like learning lines, no one taught us how to learn lines. I wasn't good at that stuff, I'm not going to lie to you. So we didn't, but it was still it was funny. It was like it was just like the man them cracking joke. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So there was that. Then that phased out. Then there was the dirty games we played was an actual debate night. So I used to be one of the panelists. So then that started me talking in front of people and whatever. Then it went to, that stopped, done radio. It was Keith and Gabriel, then Keith went to Australia. So
okay, so you've known him for a minute as well.
Yeah, I filled in, and then they were trying to get other people to fill in. They weren't people, and you know that when people can be just mad harsh. Who the fuck is this? Who's it? Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Who's this new host? Get him off. Whatever. You know the ones that people.
What was that? The YouTube comment? Oh, just like how are they commenting?
No, there was a hashtag on Topic Talk Show. People be like, "Who's this new host? Get them off!" Or blah. So my brother was like, "Rah." So he asked me to come on, and then when I came on, everyone was blessed because we had like banter. But everyone else he got after Keith, they weren't on it.
They weren't feeling them.
So that used to trend every Sunday, #1 on Twitter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, every Sunday. Like there'll be like BAFTAs, there'll be Grand Prix, whatever. Used to trend. Like literally everyone used to listen to that show.
Okay.
So even if you check the hashtag now, I think the SoundCloud's still there. We're thinking of bringing it back.
Yeah.
So when that ended, because my brother went to go and open a bar in Birmingham.
Okay.
Sion Bar. So that ended. So it was kind of like, what do I do? Then I had the Voice newspaper, Pride magazine. Nah, they messaged man saying like the radio show like, where's it gone?
Okay.
Because it's like because basically it was like the show was 2 halves. So the first half was like serious. So we might talk about mental health or basically anything serious.
Getting ahead of the curve, innit? Mental health.
Yeah, we'll talk about mental health. We'll talk about male suicide. We'll talk about anything serious that needs to be spoken about. We'll talk about. Then the second half will be the joke part.
Okay.
So people kind of got to hear serious issues get addressed, but then there was banter. We were always cussing each other, so people loved the kind of dynamic. So, but it couldn't continue because my brethren couldn't commit to coming down to London every week, whatever. So after that, it was kind of like, what next? What do I do? So I was still working retail then, but still on Instagram, and I was learning Instagram then. So my page was more meme-based because I was trying to get my followers up.
Okay.
And early on in Instagram, people weren't really doing fashion and lifestyle. It was about who could take the best pictures.
Bro, I wasn't even on Instagram.
Who could have the best memes. It was more about meme pages.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So following that, you just thought, okay, you've got a bit of a following. Let's just start a podcast. Like, what introduced you to it though?
Because Keith's sister used to listen to the podcast.
Oh, is he? Yeah, right. She was ahead of the game. So, US-based podcasts or local?
No, I think US-based podcasts, most probably,
Okay. She put you on?
No, so she told Keith about the podcast. So, and Taze wanted to do something more YouTube-based.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because Taze is more of a visual man, isn't it? Taze was more like, see my face, crack joke, whatever. Keith's more of a, just talk on the mic or behind a phone, more like caption-based, whatever. I was in between both. So I used to write the captions, funny captions, people used to like, hashtags, but you could see me, if that makes sense. So I was in between both. So Keith was like, why don't we do a pod? Because it makes sense. And then there was a case of, do we bring in Gabriel? Because we used to do radio with him. But it didn't make sense because we'd already been working together, so our audience would be the same.
Yeah, okay.
Taser was someone external, that his audience would be different, and he's from Northwest. Because remember, I'm from East/Southeast. Keith's from Croydon and like Middlesbrough via wherever. Taser's from Northwest. So we all kind of hit everywhere.
And so what year was that?
That's 2016.
Okay. And then so on that journey, so you are putting your own money in, you're kind of going through ways, investing in it, or did you have your own equipment?
No. So basically Dan is one of the first people, Dan was the first person on the pod.
Sav?
Yeah. Sav, because we recorded in Dan's studio. So Taze was like, my brother and Dan, I know Dan, whatever. And that's how Savage, obviously Savage Dan existed before that, but the world didn't know Savage Dan. So he wasn't supposed to be on the pod. Like he was an engineer that was using his studio. But he used to, because we were talking, he would crack joke, get involved, and then Dan became part of the pod. Then there was this whole thing of who is Dan, who is Savage Dan. Like everyone wanted to know what he looked like. People come to live shows, then we started doing live shows. People were like, I got a question, is Savage Dan here? We're like, Dan was the man of the moment. If you speak to Dan, there was one point in time where Dan, obviously we brought out the pod on Friday, on I think Friday the 16th of April. I think it was around that date.
What year?
It's 2016.
Okay.
No promo.
Okay.
We just brought it out with a hashtag. Here's a podcast, enjoy it.
How do you even get the name? You're not tequila drinkers,
yeah? Taser's a tequila drinker. I used to call himself Tequila Taze.
Okay.
But Keith, I think it was Keith came up with a name, between them two anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Because Keith didn't want it to be a case of a typical podcast where it's like, for example, 3 black boys and whatever.
Yeah, fair.
So like, anyone who sees 3 shots tequila will be like, what does this mean? Then they'll have to look. You don't know who's involved in it. You have to look at it, if that makes sense. But also, because we were just telling the truth, it was 3 if you take 3 shots, it'll hit your chest. So listening to us will hit your chest because we just...
One shot of the right stuff.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. But
3 shots, you're done.
So I remember at that point in time, a lot of people who had pods would say stuff that they thought women would want to hear or the world would want to hear. We were on the vibe of, we don't care if you want to hear this. This is what annoys us about women, or this is what annoys us.
General topics.
Yeah, or this is what annoys us about men, or... Do you know what I'm saying? There was none of this whole kind of PC.
You've stayed committed, for sure. Like what? Because from that journey, what has kind of made you sustain that, kind of keep into it? Because I'm assuming the first few I don't know, episodes or how long it took you to get to the live shows, or whatever it is. I'm sure it must have been tough. Like, did it always seem like this made sense? Did you always have the audience?
Yeah, so for me, like, we had the audience. That's one thing that helped, because remember, we didn't do no promo, and within the first 24 hours, we had like 8,000 listens or something like that.
Oh wow,
that's different. That's how we knew. And it was on SoundCloud. Wow. SoundCloud, our views were mad.
It's crazy because you say that, and people are less accessible then. Like less people on the platforms, etc. And that's big numbers.
There was big, and remember that's how it started.
Yeah.
So, and then it started to grow to like 100k, 200k.
Okay, so you always knew this was going to work.
Yeah, there was millions, and do you know what I'm saying? So, and we kind of kicked in the door, because in terms of the UK, there was podcasts out, but they weren't doing the numbers like that. Like, because no one cared about pods. Because when we first started, people were like, oh, even man used to come up to me and say, oh, you're doing a pod. Well, you might just sit around just chatting shit in it, like, you know, you'll get man just giving a backhanded compliments and whatever, or
everybody's doing them now.
That's the maddest thing, and and then there will be people who'll be going on like, not real man don't do pods, but like, right, what, you do pods?
Yeah, they couldn't really see it, innit?
But now, your favourite gangster is a pod now. 100%. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like everyone's doing pods now. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is not a problem, but it's kind of like, I'd rather, for example, if someone's doing something that I don't understand, I wouldn't cuss it. I'll just listen and be like, oh, interesting, dope.
100%.
But I wouldn't be like, everyone's doing Bitcoin now. Why is everyone doing Bitcoin? I'll just keep quiet and try and either look and see what's going on, or just not comment.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So.
All right, so, like, given how popular podcasts are today, as you mentioned, like, everybody's jumping on it, right? Not everybody, but a lot of people, right? And your experience in the game, what would you say the two, like, if you were just to think of 2 things people need to start a podcast, like, just to get it right, but also 2 things to make sure that your podcast is successful, or to at least help it be successful? So
I feel like that your brand is very important. I think it's more than 2, you know. Branding and promo is very important.
When you're starting, yeah?
When you're starting, branding and promo, as in, like, you got to know what your podcast is about. Like, sometimes and that sounds weird, sometimes you haven't, but if you do, it's a lot better. So, for example, what's your podcast about? Like, in a sentence or 2, can you sum up your podcast in a sentence? 2 women speaking about crime, documentaries, blah, blah, blah. Alright, cool, so then you know what it is now.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Then now it's a case of, your marketing, your branding. Does it look appealing? Is it good? Is it something that if anyone were to look at it, they'd be like, that looks nice, because visuals are very important. Even you don't understand that how important that is there. Because that will set apart, like, people see it, but they don't know they've seen it. It's subliminal. Yeah. So now again, they might see it somewhere and be like, oh, I've seen that somewhere before. Where have I seen that? Yeah. Oh, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. People don't realise that that's why branding's so important, because even 3 Shots Tequila, for example, you might have heard the name and in passing, but then now when you see it, you're like, I've heard someone talking about that. Yeah. 3 Shots. Then you see the branding. Oh, that branding's dope. Like, you engage people by doing stuff like that. Do you know what I'm saying? People don't realise how important even colours, how they make people feel. That's like more of like a soothing, calm colour. So people see your pod and it's a bit calming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that. And also consistency. You've got to be consistent. Like, don't be in it. A lot of people now are jumping into podcasts for numbers and money, which is cool, but if you're doing that, then you're not really going to be in it for long.
And when I mean, because you've touched on it, I was going to say that, the money part. At what point does that come?
It depends on what you want from it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because for us, money didn't come. We didn't get with Spotify till like year 3 or year 4. No, year 3 and a bit. You know what I'm saying? So the only money we got from the pod was from our live shows.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we were like the first ones to do podcast live shows.
Yeah, live shows is impressive. That's a great idea, though.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Definitely kudos for that. So I'm going to come to that Spotify point, but so you've said consistency, you said branding, and you've said
marketing. Like in terms of promo, you have to promo your stuff.
And promo.
You definitely got to promo your stuff.
And what are the best avenues for that nowadays?
In terms of promo, I feel like visuals now. So YouTube visuals, little clips that you put out, and even if you want to pay like a page, like a meme page or like a page to say, "I'll do me a favour, is there any rates that whatever," and then maybe then they can post it for you, if that makes sense, but in an organic way. And because if you look at most meme pages now, I don't know if you follow like my man like Made You Think.
Yeah, Made You Think. So I'm on that.
So for example, like he'll post a podcast on there. You ain't never heard about it, but you see the clip and you're like, oh, now you've seen that pod. You see the name. It's kind of in your head a bit.
Yeah.
Then if you see a few more clips, you're more likely to watch it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like little things like that, crossovers, like maybe trying to work with other people, trying to get on someone else's pod. But a lot of people, they don't do it the right way. They assume that like someone should come on your pod. But if you're not bridges with this person or you know them, like everyone's time is very...
Yeah, of course. It's more of money, isn't it? Time is money.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So.
Yeah, no, cool.
And also it depends. Do you want your podcast to be guest-based or just use lot? So Free Shots, we didn't want it to be guest-based. We wanted it to people listen to us for us so that we don't have any guest people listen.
It's easier to be consistent that way, though.
Yeah.
Because you're not relying on anyone.
But also sometimes if you're doing seasons, then it might be good for you to say, let me do 5 seasons with 5 different people. Then I'll go away, do another season with another 5 different people. Do you know? It depends on your strategy and how you want to do it.
Yeah, okay. Just I guess you touched on the Spotify piece, but so my understanding is Free Shots is a Spotify exclusive, yeah?
Free Shots is a Spotify original.
Original?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that work? Because you've also got YouTube content.
Yeah, so basically what it is so back before, we would have had way more YouTube views and plays, but we could only put a certain amount of footage on YouTube.
Okay, so you can, just it's limited.
It's limited because for Spotify, that doesn't make sense for them because if they're paying us for exclusive content, we can't be putting all the content on something else.
Makes sense. Okay.
But visually it's important because although you want to get new listeners, so new listeners, because you people on YouTube, and sometimes YouTube, if you're listening to a Joe Budden podcast or Drinks Champs, it might just swing you to Free Shots.
Yeah. And plus it's like the second biggest search engine in the world, right?
You know what I'm saying? So you kind of got to be on there, so that's what that is.
No, that makes sense. And then, so how did that Spotify relationship happen, right? Because you went from live shows, at this point quite popular. How did who made that connection? Did they reach out? How did they make contact?
So I feel like a few people have been reaching out, but with us, it was more like, let's sit on it, and when the right thing comes along, we'll move.
Wow, so you actually felt kind of...
Yeah. Until then...
feeling light skin, innit?
You
know what I'm talking down Novas, bro.
That's how you feeling light skin. Now, we knew, because the thing is, separately, all 3 of us knew the power of the pod. From plays, the live show, the venue was 250 people.
Okay.
And we put out 3 shows and they sold out.
Wow.
We done one that November. One was beginning of November, one was middle of November, one was beginning of December. All sold out. So we knew that was like 750 tickets gone. So we knew, and even the live show, people came to watch us speak.
Yeah.
That was unheard of at that time, bro.
Yeah.
Like, as in, people came for concerts,
Yeah.
debate nights maybe, and even the debate night thing, my brethren, Gabriel and that's one of the first people to do debate nights. So it's kind of like we'd kind of been doing stuff and pushing boundaries in the scene, but not knowing that we were doing that, if that makes sense.
Of course. No, okay.
So when the live show came, we knew. So we were like, that kind of helped us money-wise. Then we started to get bigger shows. So went from there. Then we went to Tropicana, which was maybe 500-600 people.
Okay, wow.
Then we done Café de Paris.
Yeah, and so
Café
de Paris was lit. And so what? And this a Spotify and watching. I'm assuming they've got a team that notice what's going on, or they're just ears to the streets.
Yeah, no, there was a guy called Austin that was at Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know Austin.
No.
He's at Apple now, but he was like the guy at Spotify, like as in their ear to the urban.
He's got the pulse,
he knew in it what was going on. So he would have meetings with people. So Austin was I'll give Austin these flowers, and Keith knew Austin in it.
Okay.
So I think Spotify were interested because Spotify wanted to be.
Because I guess Spotify just went on a podcast. Yeah. They just wanted a podcast.
Because remember, you got to look at it like this in terms of engagement, in terms of music, like you don't engage with music, you listen to it.
And it's also,
You know what I'm saying? Whereas podcasts you engage with because you're listening to a conversation.
100%.
So if I say on that podcast, I go to this place, you're going to go to that, you might go to that place. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Rap, you have to hear a man say, man shopping Harrods.
Yeah,
you might, if you can't afford Harrods, you're not going to go, but like...
it definitely works for some of the brands though, the Dior's and stuff.
Yeah, but remember, that's because you're seeing it on them and it's more of like a collection of things. It's not because Tion Wayne said I'll wear Dior's or Fredo. It's because everyone's wearing it.
Yeah.
And they happen to be as well.
Yeah.
And you have to understand their raps. And remember, more times with rap, you listen to it, but you don't listen to it.
Yeah, not every line. You're not catching every line.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas podcasts, remember, if a podcast is an hour, you listen to it for an hour.
Yeah.
You don't listen to the same artist for an hour.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? That makes sense. So Spotify knew the power of pods.
Yeah.
So they started to want to invest heavily. And also in terms of pods, we were like the leaders in the UK of pods. And in terms of, I hate the word urban, but in terms of like the demographic of black people and Asian and people who are down with the scene and trendy, like we were leading the way with that, innit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
So they wanted to be a part of that. So it was kind of, when they maybe had a conversation with Austin said it made sense.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it make sense? Yeah. And then they started looking at the analytics, the numbers,
okay.
the live shows and...
Yeah, 100%. All right, so there's a lot of podcasts that do consist of multiple people, right?
Yeah.
Have you got any advice for podcasts with those kind of that, or even if it's just people that are kind of consistently on, just to ensure that everyone's on the same page, that there's no issues? Because again, to have 3 people have that successful journey for like 5+ years, you know what I'm saying? I know there must be bumps in the road, but obviously, but how do you ensure that? What's the key thing to make sure that everyone, it's not a boy band? Boy bands don't even last that long.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Now, my thing with Free Shots, I feel like everyone can see the end goal in it, in terms of like, we've got to a point in time now where like, it's career based now, it's a career. It's not just a hobby anymore, so it's kind of like, there are egos, but there's no egos, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because if there are egos, you've got to humble your ego because we understand the bigger picture, see what I'm saying? And there's times where we disagree, but it's a democracy, innit? There's 3 of us. Yeah. So if 2 of them man say what it is and I don't agree, then I've got to go with what them man say, you know what I'm saying? But with that being said, if I strongly disagree with something, I can say it and give my reasons why, and it will be respected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
But I feel like for other people, it depends, because remember, we were friends before the pod.
Okay, which helps.
And also, we've all got different personalities. So Taser's more, if you listen to the pod, you're more likely to hear me and Keith argue, and Taser will just sit in the middle. So Taser's not really...
He's easy.
He's the easy guy, whereas it's me and Keith that are the ones that will argue more.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the moment we've realised that we know how to address each other and we know how not to piss each other off.
Yeah,
it's kind of
a maturity thing as well.
It's a maturity thing, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna do something that's like me and you going out. There's not gonna be girls and I'll say, but this is why I borrowed you that £10 the other day. Because in your head you're taking a piss. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm pulling out on money.
You're fuming. You know what I'm saying? But I know why I've done that. So I'm not going to do that to you. Because I know it's a boy thing. Even if I have borrowed you a tenner, I wouldn't do that. So it's for you to know.
Not to your bridging.
Not to say on camera. Because some people, when the camera starts rolling, they'll get carried away. And because it's my time to shine, they might buoy you off or say something.
Yeah.
We don't do that on the pod.
Yeah, cool.
It's just a general conversation, not trying to catch no one out.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So just on that then, and the content, right? Because you lot obviously are consistently produced, and am I right in saying you haven't missed a pod?
No, I never missed an episode.
Every week?
Every week, yeah.
Wow. So, damn. I mean, come on. I don't think there's many careers that can say they've never had a break.
Yeah, never had a break.
So, you've consistently produced a lot of regular content, right? Yeah. How do you ensure that the content is fresh, original, interesting? Like, what is the process and keeping listeners engaged? How do you make sure that this week is just as good as last? Like, how do you ensure that it's just, or even better? How do you do that? What's that process look like?
Where?
So that, do you work through the week to get there, or?
But it's a hard one because the thing is with pods, you lose listeners all the time. But you're supposed to, people fall off because they can't listen all the time. Like, things change, and you get new listeners. So I don't know, man. It's a hard one. But
is it current topics, or like what's your like?
We try to mix it. So, for example, it's whatever is on our chest, or sometimes if something's really been out there, we try and talk about it. But then if you do that and you become social commentators, then if nothing's popping, you're gonna have to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
And then so just in terms of like, obviously you've got quite a big audience now. Like, how are you now using that base now, the podcast as a basis for other ventures? Like, are you kind of going back into that entrepreneur world and delving into different things?
Yeah. So
how do you decide things that work?
So LuxSundays, that's like a weekly event that we done, like a brand
as a collective, yeah.
Yeah. So me, Keith, my brethren Shizzo and Hackney's Finest, the meme page. So we use the podcast for that to kind of help push that. So Taters has faded events. So yeah, so that's the beauty of the pod. Like, if you've got something popping or something coming up, like Supper Club, whatever, you kind of use, it kind of helps you with promoting that. Okay.
And I'm assuming your events are still sell out now?
Yeah. Unfortunately, this whole pandemic messed stuff up, but LuxSundays was going every Sunday from October 2017. Damn. So that does fit. So when lockdowns happened, that's when we had to stop.
Yeah. But I'm assuming during lockdown your listeners increased.
Not necessarily, you know.
How is it? Okay.
No, because remember, in terms of lockdown, people had a system where they went to work, and most people used to listen to free shots either at work, on the train journey to work, whatever. Remember, when that's stopped and you're at home now, the TV's on.
Different routine, yeah.
Different routines. And now, instead of, I can watch anything on Netflix now.
Yeah, true.
And catch up on different series now. And also, remember, there was an explosion of events. Yeah. I mean, an explosion of content during lockdown.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone was doing lives.
Yeah.
New podcasts popping up, new shows were popping up. Disney Plus came out. Yeah, Disney. Like, bare things. So.
All right. What would you say success means to you? Like, for you to say, you know what? To sit back and say, yeah, you've really done it. I mean, you may have done that already with the group, but like, if from this point on, looking forward.
For me, unfortunately, I think I'm only going to be able to say that when I stop doing it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Because you can reflect.
Because I can reflect. Because it's only now if I'm having a conversation with you, or this conversation now, that you're telling me stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it's true, you know. Yeah, I've done a bit, but because I'm just living in it, I'm not seeing it. Okay. Makes sense. It's like a footballer. Like, if you're playing football and you're slapping in goals, you're not really realising. People are feeling you, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing. But at the end of your career, it's like Thierry Henry when he goes on Monday Night Football, and then man are like, yeah, you were a dangerous forward. You know, like, we used to be scared to play.
Or when they say, oh yeah, how many medals when they're like Champions League? So,
you know what I'm saying?
You see that Tottenham. You see that Hurricane and end of the year, match of the day, you can't get it in, but this is like this brother ain't one time. No, but no, I feel you know, 100%. So you haven't in your mind thought success, this is what it looks like. You haven't really got that in mind.
In my mind, success is me tapping out.
Okay.
In terms of like, as in, or not, maybe not tapping out, but as in sitting down, big crib, financially secure, everything looked after. Like, yeah, I'm here. Okay. That's what it is to me, if that makes sense. Okay. So maybe until I reach then.
Okay. And so along the way, has there been any like great advice that you've received that's really helped you, like the best piece?
No, Do you know what it is? I wouldn't say that, you know, because I feel like my journey is so unique.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason I'm here is because I've just done so many things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yeah, because I was going to say, actually, there's no... it doesn't seem like there's like a podcast or anything, or like a mentor that you lot have got that you look to.
Yeah.
Like that kind of inspires, you know.
No.
No UK, US based ones that you've looked to and like as a blueprint or like nothing yet. That's impressive stuff, man.
Because remember when we done the podcast, it was we just done it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like not in a big headed way that people might look at 3 shots like that. As in, you man done the podcast, I want to do a podcast because you man done the podcast. But I didn't look at it like I want to do a podcast because someone else did the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? That makes sense. And a lot of the stuff I've done in my life wasn't because other people were doing it. It's because I just tried the thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That makes sense.
No,
and I just knocked on so many doors because in my head something had to work.
So, but outside of podcasts, is there any content or like people that you listen to, read, like that kind of just helps you just in general, just to better yourself, improve?
Do you know what it is for me? I used to go to church a lot when I was younger.
Okay.
So maybe that's something that.
And you still got faith? You're strong?
Yeah, I still got faith. Yeah. I don't, because I'm busy and whatever, I don't go to church anymore. Well, I still do every now and then. But generally speaking, my faith, and I used to listen to music a lot when I was younger. So I think maybe I used to get a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah, of course.
Like your Biggie Smalls, your Lil Wayne's, Young Jeezy. There's a point in time when that's what I used to listen to. Yeah. That Trap Motivation 101, that whole sky's the limit, you can do whatever.
That recession.
Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, like, my mentality was always like, or DMX or whatever, so it was kind of, my mentality was very much like, I'm going to get it. I don't know how, but I'm going to be great. So a lot of the music I listened to, although it was rap and whatever, it was kind of always telling me...
mindset.
Yeah, the mindset was like, you're going to do it, like, and you're going to be fly doing it. So I listened to a Mace, a
so
Cameron.
You must have the Cam, I was going to say. As soon as you said fly, I'm like you got to listen to Cam, bro. Cam is the best.
Like Mace, Cam, Lil Wayne, Jeezy, those are my guys.
Yeah, okay, now I feel you. Same really.
Biggie as well. Tupac.
What would you say, like, if you were to pick out one standout, like, favourite memory of Free Shots, like, you obviously been doing it for years, like, something that's just funny or just like something that you remember that you just like, let's just either a favourite or funny memory from your journey at Free Shots?
Oh, there's too many, but
I know there must be. Just like a random one. Give us one.
I'd say most probably Hammersmith with Apollo.
Okay, live show, yeah?
Live show, because we done Shepherd's Bush. Shepherd's Bush is one, because Shepherd's Bush, we went to Shepherd's Bush, we done that one, that was like 1,200 people. And the day after, we got our blue ticks. Okay.
And that's, again, they just, I guess Instagram is watching.
Yeah, so I've looked the next day and I've spoke to someone for Instagram that deals with, like, artist liaison kind of. Yeah. And she said, like, because my page is on private then. She said, take your page off private, trying to give you some blue ticks. So when I told them, look, that's one of my favourite memories, because once man got a blue tick, that was like, now I'm used to it, but at that time, I was like, what? Blue tick? Man's verified, man. Like, it just looks different. Even if you go on holiday now and you see someone, you say, I'll swap socials. When they see the blue tick, oh, what do you do?
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So there's that, but then I'll say Hammersmith with Apollo, because that was, I don't know, I think it's about 3,000 people.
Yeah. Okay.
But on the stage, my mum rang me.
During the show?
So I'm like, Mum, I can't speak right now, I'm at a show. He's like, what? What are you talking about? And people didn't believe me, so I put my mum on the mic. So everyone heard my mum talking, but then my cousin was in the audience and he filmed it. So then he sent it to my mum later. So when my mum goes anywhere, she shows everyone. In Nigeria, she's showing everyone. So I think that's my favourite memory. And then at the end of that, when I done the intro, and because everyone loves the intro, then the cannons went off. And it was kind of like raw, like man's in front of 3,000 people.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
I remember, like, Hammersmith Apollo, like, you know, like when you hear certain venues, like comedian, like I watched Drake there.
Yeah, it's iconic.
I watched gigs there.
Yeah.
And now 3 shots are there. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's iconic. It's iconic.
So we're in.
I think Dave Chappelle's that.
That's what I'm saying. So arenas that big people have done.
Yeah.
And we're doing Royal Albert Hall in November.
Yeah.
And Royal Albert Hall, I saw Jay-Z there.
Yeah, it's iconic.
So.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah. So what can we expect from like Marvin in the future? Like, what's more? Is there anything else to expect outside of podcasts, events? Is there something that we can see coming? You got something cooking?
Do you know what? My main thing is just a pod at the moment and my events. I'm debating whether to do a YouTube because people keep telling me to vlog. Because whenever I do stuff on my Instagram, people always laugh.
Yeah, it's funny. Bro.
And they're on, man. So, but it's just getting the time, bruv. But for me, it's just a case of now it's like just trying to diversify my brand. And trying to get myself, not out there, but just maybe try and do a few more bits. So that's my main thing now. Maybe trying to do a few more bits.
Yeah, leveraging, especially when you've got that platform and the name, the brand, you can definitely take advantage. Not I'm gonna take advantage of people, but
do some.
You can build off that. You can literally have an empire.
100%. So that's what I'm trying to do. Maybe some more stuff like that. Work some more brands.
Okay.
And that's it. Really.
Okay. So as part of this podcast, we got a quick fire round. Quick one. We got 5 questions. Quick fire. We got 10 seconds to answer each one.
Okay, cool.
You ready?
Yep.
So, name one thing that you can't live without.
My phone.
One thing that you need to be successful.
Consistency.
One thing that brings you happiness.
Money.
You can't argue with that. If you had one wish, what would it be?
One wish.
But the buzz is about taking it.
Financially secure.
Okay. And one thing that you would advise a younger version of yourself?
Invest in Bitcoin.
Are you an investor?
Nah, I didn't really invest in Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm just saying
if you could, that's smart. That's pretty fair. That's a good one.
Like, until I would have said, put your money in that.
Yeah, bro.
You could have pulled it out now. And it's been,
I mean, even if it's last year, when it's $2 grand.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, no, that's dope, man. I just want to say, like, I appreciate you coming on. As I said, just taking the time to come here and share your journey, but also ways that people can be better, and especially where podcasts are such a big thing right now. It's trending for sure. People want to do it. It's the market is growing. More and more podcasts are starting every day. But where can listeners connect with you? Like, what's the best way to reach out and connect and see some of your content, etc.? Yeah,
so just follow me on Instagram. That's Marvin Abbey. I got a Twitter, but I don't really use it. That's Marv_Abbey. Yeah. Snapchat same Marv_Abbey. And there's my emails. It's marvinabbey@icloud.com.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then just the last thing. Are you able to lend me a $5?
Do you know what it is that?
You know, I knew it's a life story. Do you know what it is, bro?
No, the funny thing is, I had a $5 in my thing the other day, but I gave it just to my virgin because she wanted to give someone a tip when I went out the other day. She's like, have you got a $5? I'm like, why? I need to give a tip to this lady. I'll get back to you. So if I'd known,
you know that $5's not coming back as well.
Yeah, it was done. It's done. But if I'd known, I would have definitely had it. I would have given it over as well.
It's calm, bro.
I got $5 still.
It's calm, bro. We've actually only had one person that's had the money. It's crazy.
I swear.
Yeah.
I got some coins in the car.
It's calm, bro. Man, so all different things, man.
I'll give you a 2p, a 50p.
No,
I'll give you a $5 like that. Open your hand up.
What are you saying? 2s, yeah? No, bro. But no, thank you again, man. I appreciate it, man. And I hope people take something away, especially if this is something they want to consider. I think some of the key messages: consistency, branding, and obviously, as you can see, I think in your case, it took off overnight. But I don't think it necessarily may happen for everyone like that, right? But sometimes it takes time.
But even you said it took over overnight. But if you look at the story,
oh yeah, no, of course, no, you're right. No, but the podcast did.
That's what I'm saying, but the podcast only took over overnight because of everything that I'd done prior.
Before, yeah, it's fair.
You know what I'm saying? But if I hadn't, it wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, true.
But everyone was like, oh, Marvin's involved in something. Oh, Tay's involved in something key because of what we've built from before, you know what I'm saying?
So actually, even in this case, there's years of prep work and brand building and audience building prior to even starting. So that's obviously another way of going about it, is kind of building it outside of the pod and then releasing it.
That's why a lot of people, when they say to me, I've got a pod, how can it pop or whatever? I'm like, you need to work on you
Yeah.
Because why does anyone... That might sound harsh, but why would I give you my time?
Yeah.
There's so much content out there. Why should I give you my time?
Yeah.
So people need to build their brand, as in and build their community, so that even if they're on Twitter or Instagram, they build it, like they start commenting on people's things, they start talking to people, so that there's a network they're building that people are just like, oh, you're cool, you know, whatever. So if you bring something out, that person that thinks you're cool is more likely going to repost your stuff, comment, like it. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas if no one knows, if no one knows you and you're bringing out this product, do you know what I'm saying? Like how, like if a new chocolate bar comes out tomorrow and no one knows who it's by, and it just comes out, how many are you going to sell?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Even if it's banging.
Even if it's banging. Whereas if Snickers brings it out, you're more likely to be like, oh, this is the brand of Snickers. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a Snickers brand, or you see it on an advert, or you see someone with it, you're more likely to be like, oh, rah.
Yeah. So that groundwork has to go in.
It has to go in. Like it has to go in.
Yeah, fair. No, that's true. But yeah, so I think that consistency, that groundwork needs to go in really. But also, it sounds like that in terms of just the content, it has to be it has to be good content as well. I think that's key. One thing that we can't, obviously we didn't touch on it too much, but the content that you're bringing out in order to maintain that level has to be good, right? That's got to be good content, right? So work's got to go in into that. So I think bear that in mind.
But also, I feel like people need to remember as well that people do this thing where they want to. You know, I remember back in the day when someone hold a T-shirt, then everyone starts selling T-shirts. Like people do this thing where like when something's popping, like people on crypto, now everyone's on crypto.
Yeah.
It's like you can pull away and look and be like, if everyone's doing, because remember, everyone does this content now where it's unfiltered, they're talking about stories, sex stories, or whatever. If everyone's doing it, pull away and maybe think about doing something else.
Yeah.
Like, for example, this is different.
Yeah.
You're having stories where you sit down with people, this is dope. So it's different content, you know what I'm saying? Whereas you could have just been on the vibe of, yeah, so when you went on holiday, what's the maddest thing you done on holiday? Like, how many girls you slept with? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have been, you know, all that kind of content. But you're on a vibe of, so tell me your story.
People,
you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. But people don't realise is sometimes get different content. Like make a podcast about crime documentaries, because bare girls watch crime documentaries.
Bare.
Or content about events, or content and the thing is, although it might be niche, your market will appreciate it.
Why do you think the girls do that? Sometimes I think they're plotting murders, bro. They're plotting murders.
Girls,
it's how they try to get away with it.
It's scary, bro. Like the amount of girls that they don't. Some girls don't like horror films, but they like. Because I can't watch
serial killer.
Brother, I can't watch them programs because in my head I know how it ended. As in like real people. I'm watching something where real people have died.
What was that one on Netflix the other day, man? And it was the guy who basically, I think he was cheating on his missus with like a younger woman, but he ended up killing the wife and the kids. His newborn baby, like.
Oh, was it?
Oh, what is that? I don't even know what it's, bro. It's mad, bro. But I was, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, what could be going through this guy's mind? Like, you don't want to mess with this, brother.
Yeah.
Because if he can do that with a straight face when he confessed it, it was like,
he
dropped his babies like into a tank or something. It was mad. Your babies, bro. Your own kids, yeah, bro. And I'm like, bro, that's what I'm saying, but it's only like those types of documentaries. I don't even want to watch them, bro. It makes you think people are mad.
It's disturbing. Like when you watch it, like, and it might sound far-fetched, but it's like not that you lose a piece of yourself, but it's something in you, like, not breaks, but you know, sometimes when you see something, you realise how fucked the world is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You're kind of like, it saddens you, and then it kind of puts your mind on that. It shines your mind on the light. Like, it's like, this happens. So it's kind of like, for me, if you keep watching that, it's going to affect you in some shape or form, but people don't understand that. Like, what you take in, you know what I'm saying? So if you're taking in murder and all this stuff and bare sadness, it's going to affect you somehow.
Yeah. Actually, one last thing, because we didn't touch on this. Since, like, technically going out for you is like work. It's events, isn't it? Yeah. So, like, how do you switch off? Like, what do you do in your spare time? Like, just outside of pods, if you just want to switch off and not working?
I can't lie, you know, I don't think I ever do.
No?
Literally, like, it's constant. Like, as in, that's why I said I can't live without my phone, because remember, my phone is Instagram, it's WhatsApp, it's, I've got like a meme page as well called You Ask For It, because remember my page used to be meme based before, I used to crack so much joke.
Just getting back to the basics.
So it's kind of like,
bread and butter.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, because my page is more about me and branding me, I can't bust too much
memes on there.
So I've made a page for that separately. So I do that, emails, events, so shubs, for example, ticket sales, creating templates, flyers, checking ticket links. So everything is on my phone. So there's no day when I'm like, I might just check to see how many tickets I've sold. You know what I'm saying? Or check my DMs or check my emails.
Man, people will understand that. Bro. Like I think everyone consistent that comes on here, bro, they're graphing every day. And there's just no real time for like just to bang out games all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of people that just sit there and wonder why things ain't happening, but you have to put the work in. Like this is not something that like just anything. Like nothing's easy, man. Everything requires hard work, man. So.
But the thing is, I don't even see it. It's only that, again, now you've just spoken to me about it, that I'm like, I do a lot on my phone. But for me, as I said to you, the thought process is just there. Whereas from when I wake up in the morning...
Because I know you gym, right? So is that like a period where you switch off, or you still is your mind still running business-wise?
My mind's always running business-wise. So like, if I've got stuff to do, I'm always thinking of it. But so as a gym, that is one of the only times, or playing football... Well, to be honest, I can't even switch off in the gym. When I'm playing football, I ain't got the phone in my hand. But a gym in between sets, I'm checking my phone. If I see something that needs to be addressed, then the set have to wait in it, and then I'll do it. So I think the only time will be if I'm playing football, or in the cinema, or somewhere where I have to engage. But anywhere else I am, the phone's in my hand, or I'm looking. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. So basically, if you want to meet with him, you got to take him cinema. Start your way, man. But no, like I said, no, thank you very much, bro. Appreciate it, man. As I said at the start of the episode, is if you share this with people, especially where people are considering podcasts, or you know someone who started one who it may be worth benefiting. But if there are other things, like because outside of podcasting, whether it's events, whether it's all these other things that I've mentioned today. Even graphic design, whatever it may be, feel free to reach out and follow these pages, but comment and let us know if you want us to focus on those things or try to get other people in similar areas, man. But thank you very much again, Mars, for taking the time, man. Appreciate it and sharing all your journey and some tips and helping people. And love, tune in another time.
What you cooking?